Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I am Danielle, better known as Danielle Happy Medium, and I hope you're all well here on the channel. But if you're coming across this video for the first time, then like I say, I am Danielle, and I cover all things spiritual, mediumship development, personal stories about me and my mediumship, hints, tips, and things that I feel as an evidential medium will certainly help you develop your mediumship. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, why not come on over the channel, subscribe, and certainly get involved in the content. And for all those who are my return subscribers, I want to thank you again for constantly being around the channel, supporting the channel, and doing all of the beautiful things that you do over here. So in today's video, and off the back of a question I got from my students, and it's got a bit of a story to it, this one. We're going to talk about the platform and the platform medium that I am, how I come to be on platform, and how my platform work has evolved over the last 8 years. So I've been a platform medium, as I say now, for around about 8 years, give or take a few months. And throughout that time, I've learned an awful lot about what a platform is, what you do, what you don't do, these types of things. And when I first started doing mediumship, I had no idea as to where I was going or what I was doing with my development at that time. And platform come about by a pure chance. So I'm going to sort of let people know what platform is. So what is platform? Platform is standing on a church or on a floor and working communications for the spirit world, where some people do private sittings. This is more on a wider scale, huge, massive. I've got to be honest with you on that one. And I was basically, platform happened by pure chance for me. It wasn't something I was particularly interested in or looked at. In fact, to be honest, I didn't even know what one was. That's how naive I was in the early days. I'll be real honest with you on that one. So I'm going to take us back 8 years to me being in an open circle in a church here in the northeast of England. And by pure chance, I happened to stand up, give a communication, and that got me a foot in the door. And I will forever be grateful for that medium who is the president of the church and still is to this day, who give me the opportunity to do platform. Now, as all of you know, I have no human training in me. No, none whatsoever. So I was getting up onto this public platform with absolutely no idea of what I was doing, right? I'll be real honest. And I will be real honest with you. In the early days, I thought I was a bee's knees. I really did. Like, I was good at what I did. I enjoyed what I did. Not that I don't now. But there was, because I didn't know as much as I know now, there was a level of I didn't really know what I was doing. So I just sort of did my thing, if I could say that to you. And probably the professionalism wasn't there, the polishing of the work wasn't there. I still give the little grey-haired grannies in the descriptive work. Then God, when I think about it, I think, God, how far my development has come in 10 years. I have to be honest with you on that one. And yet it still brings really good memories for me, I have to be honest. And you'll probably think, wait, why are you talking about this today, Danielle? Because a lot of people ask me, like, how do you get into platform? What is platform like? For me, I've got to be honest, it's a buzz. If you like dismantling things, and I'll tell you where that probably comes from. My father, he's an engineer. He's a mechanical and he's also electrical engineer. My father, and has been that for the last 50, 60 years that I know of. My dad is an old gentleman there now. Um, when I was a little girl, I used to work a lot with my father. I used to fix machines with my father. I fixed cars with my father. I have quite a good knowledge of mechanics. I've got to be honest, how funny that I do mediumship mechanics. How strange is that? If you like pulling things apart and putting them back together, then you're going to love platform. I've got to be honest. Platform is basically lots of little bits of information pulled apart in order to expand on them, or opened up, as I say, which is what I call the chunky piece of evidence. So they're like your names, your sort of ages, these types of things. And then what we do is we put them into some sort of sentence to then give it off to the larger communications or the congregation. And for me, I still get the same feeling now as I did when I stood up on that open circle to this day. I get this excitement yet nervousness. And a lot of people might say to me, wait, are you not nervous, Danielle? And students ask me this, and the general public ask me this, are you not nervous, Danielle? Stand putting all them people in, and I'm going to say this, for me, I always have a touch of nervousness. As experienced as I am and as knowledgeable as I am, I like a little bit of nerves. People might say, oh, well, you're not as confident. It's not about that. It's the anticipation of, all of the things coming together, the room, the spirit world, me, and working with them energies to the best of their ability. I've got to be honest, when I think about it, it gets me, I just get really excited by it. And a lot of people may on this channel have seen me work, some people maybe not, and for me, when I first drew that open circle and I got that sort of medium believing in me. Now, over the years, I've seen different sort of comments about this, about, you should be invited up onto church rostrums and, you should wait for people to sort of watch your work and then tell you if you're any good. And I have a couple of quibbles about that one, I've got to be honest, even though that is how my platform work actually happened over the years and as my work has advanced, I think the biggest critic we have when with anything we do is us. And we will crack and critique and pull that work to bits. I've got to be honest, and I'm included in that bracket because as a medium, we're always striving for the greater good of spirit, not for us, but for spirit, and also for the sitter in front of us. That's your main focus with any spirit work that we do. It's never about us. It's about me say that in the spirit world and how good can I get for them to prove that survival, that healing, that proof that life continues after this life. And it's something that's very, very passionate in my heart. And that's even in my teaching skill sets as well. I believe that the mediums that I train will go out there and do wonderful, wonderful things. And because of that intention and that belief in not only my own work, but also in others' work, my reputation is supported me massively within them areas. So getting back to the story. So anyway, like I say, I was getting myself all excited and gets up, does me do, and the lady comes over to me and she says, look, Danielle, do you do platform work? I was like, nah, like dead like sarcastically, like you do, in them very early days as a young gun. And I remember saying it was, oh, do you want to sort of, get on that platform? And I like spun round and looked at it and I went, yeah, like you do, why not? And she went, what about, like, and I thought in my mind, it'll be like months away of that, you know what I mean? She went, well, what about this Tuesday or this Sunday? I can't remember. I think it was a Sunday because it was a Sunday because her circle was on a Monday and she asked for the following Sunday coming up. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'll have a go at that. I'll do this, I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'll never forget it. So I turns up this Sunday. I didn't have a thing in clue. Right? I didn't know how to do prayers. I didn't know how to do philosophy. Bearing in mind this was a Sunday service. All I was good at was the messages, right? And I gotta be honest, I was frightened. Like, it takes a lot to intimidate me, I'll be honest with you, right? But I was frightened, I'll be real honest with you. The sweat was running down my back. I might tell you this story, maybe not. And I gotta be honest with you, right? I don't know how I ever got through that service, but it was the trust in knowing myself, but also in my ability and in the spirit world. And honestly, the people in the room were absolutely, thrilled with the work. And I suppose, not just talking about platform and what goes on and why we do platform, but also inside of that is a trust and a belief in yourself and in your ability and in all that you do, even though you're that frightened. And even to this day, like I say, I still get nervous. And I think it's important we talk about that within our development because otherwise, I think at the front of house when you are watching me on the screen or, out, not just me, but any medium, there's a sort of way they look dead confident and they've got it all together and trust me in the early days I definitely didn't have it all together and and to be honest with you I still get nervous to this day. So I think it's important that I talk about this with regards to trying to get onto a platform. I've done this both ways. I've done it being invited up, and I've also approached churches and asked churches for work. Both have been very, very successful for me, which opened doors up for me internationally and also allowed me to work in the places like Australia, Canada, the US, France, and other countries across the world. And a lot of people say, because, you're not, backed by somebody else or that you're not invited in by somebody else. One of the beautiful things that I believe with spirit is that within the seven principles in which that we work is the belief in us as our individuals and belief in our self-worth and who we are as mediums, and that we can speak for ourselves. And I think one of the biggest things for mediums is to make sure that you can speak for you and that you know that that work that you produce is the best it can possibly be, not for you, for spirit and for their congregation. And so for me, I think both ways are acceptable. I know there's a lot that will disagree with that statement, I'll be honest with you, but I have to speak from my own personal experience. I got to give you from both sides of the coin. You know me. If I'm going to give you something, I'm going to give you because I've done it myself. I'm not just going to talk about something just because I can. I'm going to talk about it because I've got an experience and I understand. Has there been some pitfalls with that side of speaking for myself? Yeah, because ultimately what can happen there is people are going to want to hear from others who've seen your work, which if you've been working the circuit, which the circuit, that's a very posh term for open circles going around your local area. What will happen there is that people will see your work, and then if somebody needs a reference, then they can get it. But it's not important. A lot of places now take you on face value, believe in who you are, and that's what spiritualism's about. It's about believing in people and giving people a chance. And I think it's important to remember that when we're working with the spirit world, but also within spiritualism itself. you know Platform for me is a beautiful thing. Couple of do's. Do always be professional. Do dress appropriately. Do speak properly. I've got to be honest, I still speak exactly the same, but it is certainly a lot more refined. I can't lose the northern twang and I cannot lose who I am as an individual. But I have learned that the way in which I present my work has to be in an appropriate way for the congregation. Do not make things up. Do not tell fibbers or pretend that you've got something when you haven't. You may as well just be honest. One of the biggest things I've learned with platform is people will forgive you for being honest. They won't forgive you for telling them nonsense or pushing information down them that they can't take. One of the biggest things as a medium that I do is just go, if I've got it wrong, I'll say it to my congregation. And I've done this in front of nearly 600 people at an SNU church here in the UK. It was absolutely packed to the rafters and had people queuing outside. I have no problem turning around and saying, unfortunately, I must have that wrong. I do apologize. Forgive me. My ego's not out that much that I kind of, apologize, because it's important, because it's my fault. I've got it wrong. It's not Spirit's fault. It's not the sitter's fault. It's my fault. I haven't worked that information enough. Do be polite. Do be friendly. Be, excuse me, yourself. Always be yourself, because it's your work, or well, not your work, but it is sort of through your instrument, which is always going to help you be the best version of you with your work. Don't try to make your work somebody else's. Eventually, it's going to have to come out, and you're going to have to do it your way. Enjoy it. A platform is a beautiful experience. I've learned so much through platform about different types of communicators, to different styles, in which working abroad and also working all over the UK has allowed me an opportunity to see mediumship from the bottom end of the country to right up to the top end near the Shetland Islands and everything else in between. It's allowed me to have a really broad spectrum of different wordings, different tones, different uses, people who speak differently to me, different terminologies, different styles of communicators. The experience has been invaluable. The knowledge I've gained from that, from traveling for 2 to 3 years on the road, is sort of given me such great knowledge that money just couldn't buy. It just couldn't. And for all of the churches who believed in me over the years, I kind of think is enough. Not just in the UK but all across the world. The belief in my ability with the spirit world has always touched my heart more than anything. Platform for me is a beautiful experience, and when done correctly, it just blows your socks off. I've got to be honest, and it's always something that'll be very dear to my heart. It'll always be something that's very dear to my team. I've got to be honest, something that I absolutely adore. So if you're interested in platform and you've been inspired by my personal experience on a plus, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about it. It hasn't all been plain sailing. I'll be real honest with you. I've had some days where I've come away and thought, what went wrong there, Danielle? Like, what happened there? Not all of it has been pretty as a picture. I've got to be honest, but also through that, I've gained valuable learning, valuable knowledge, learned to, understand different ways of mediumship, different styles of mediumship, and I've got to be honest, even when the dem hasn't always gone the way I thought it should have, the spirit world has always assured me that those who were in the room have received what was necessary. And so for me, if you're interested in platform, there's a couple of things you can do. Get out into the circuit, which is your open circles, and interact with the local communities and walk in that door there. If you are a little bit more upfront like myself, you could certainly approach places. I wouldn't recommend that unless you've got a couple of things under your belt, or you certainly got some people who can speak for you in case you should ask for references, which most of them will do. I'll be honest with you on that one. A few for me didn't, but the vast majority of them did. Do always do the work to the best of intent. Don't go in there predicting off rostrums. That is certainly not acceptable. Always make sure that your prayers are in line with the SNU 7 principles, which we all are regulated by, and all your work should be done with them intentions sat behind them. Have some history behind the back of what you're doing. Where does spiritualism come from? Talk about the Fox sisters. Get some knowledge behind the back of you. Your communications aren't going to be enough here. You've got to have the prayers. You've got to have the knowledge sitting behind the back of you, because it's going to be needed within that philosophy, and learn to understand the timings. Timings are important when it comes to rostrum. 7 to 10 minutes is tops. Anything over that's a private sitting, folks. I've got to be honest. Philosophy should be at least 15 minutes to 20 minutes. You've got to get used to doing them types of things. So there is some snags with platform work, but when done right, like I say, it's done beautifully. And for me, like I say, and my team, it'll always be a passion. So that is my story on platform. I hope you enjoyed that. Some do's and don'ts in regards to that area. I hope it all works. I hope, if for those who are out there in the industry doing them things, I hope it works out for you. I really do. I hope this has inspired you as well, and realize that, even as out there as I am, I still get nervous, and you should always keep a bit of that nerves. Keeps the ego up. I've got to be honest with you on that one. Let me know how you are getting on in the industry. If you are in this world, I'll see if I can give you some hint and tips. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you all Friday. All right, I'm off to class. I will see you all on Friday. Bye for now.